Hello friends, I am Mayantika and in this video I will be discussing about a periphytonic algae Eulothrix. In this video, the video will be in two parts. In the part 1 of this video, I will be discussing about the overview of Eulothrix, its structure and its ecological economic importance. And in the second part of the video, I will be discussing about the reproductive strategy of Eulothrix. So let's start the video. Before I start the main video, there is a quiz for you. Which of the following algae creates nuisance in aquarium? We know that certain ornamental algae are used in aquarium for increasing the aesthetic appeal. On the other hand, certain algae are also found to be growing in aquarium that reduces this aesthetic appeal. Those planktonic floating algae, they create a turbidity that reduces the aesthetic appeal. So we are talking about those algae which are unwanted in the aquarium. If you know the answer, you can write me in the comment section, or if you don't know, I'll be answering it at the end of this video. An overview of Eulothrix. While discussing any algae or any plants, the first thing we should be doing is learning the taxonomic position. While writing long answers, the first thing you should be writing is the taxonomic position. So in Eulothrix belong to phylum Chlorophyta, that is a green algae, class Chlorophyceae. Now, these chlorophyceae they are green algae and mostly they are aquatic, and a few species they are growing subaerially attached to moist soil or moist rock, but mostly they are freshwater. Only those belonging to order Siphonalis and order Ulvalis, they are found to be marine. Otherwise, most of them are freshwater. The chlorophyceae, they have a wide range of thallus organization. That is from unicellular to multicellular, from single cell to colonial or filamentous. They can be motile as well as non-motile. Order Eulotrichales. Order Eulotrichales. All the algae of Eulotrichales, mostly they are freshwater, few marine are also found, but the main characteristic feature of order Eulotrichales is a filamentous thallus. Most of the algae of order Eulotrichales, they are simple filamentous, except one algae, Uronema, that has a branched filament. And family Eulo Eulotrichaceae. All these algae, they have a slight little differentiation in the thallus structure. That is, the filament has a definite apical and basal edge. The basal cell of the Eulothrix algae, it is achlorophyllous, that is, it does not have any chlorophyll, and it is much elongated, and it functions like a holdfast or hapteron. And the apical cell, it has a rounded upper portion, and the intermediate cells, they are cylindrical. So we see that family Eulotrichaceae, there is a little differentiation in the filamentous structure. And all the Eulotrichaceae algae, they have the cells, each cell have a single nucleus, single chloroplast with one or more pyrenoid depending upon the species, and they mainly reproduce sexually by isogamy, and that is heterotrophic type of, means two different parent will be there for the gametic fusion. I mean, gametes from two different parent would fuse. One is the positive, another is the negative strain. And the asexual reproduction, it will take place by three type of spores. That is the zoospores, a planospore, and hypnospore, depending upon the climatic condition. The zoospores will also be of three types, that is the macrozoospore and the microzoospore. And the macrozoospores are always quadriflagellate. Microzoospores are either quadriflagellate or biflagellate. So this is about the family Eulotrichaceae. We are going to discuss about the Eulothrix, the algae Eulothrix. It has a benthic habitat and it is a macroalgae and mostly found in fresh water and in the stagnant water. It prefers stagnant water, and so it is found mostly in the lake and slow moving river and stream. And they are some few marine species are also found, and they can also be found to be growing on damp soil or along the shoreline, or attached to the rock along the shoreline. And these are mostly, as we know, that they are benthic, that is they grow on the very substratum layer as periphytic algae. Now, what are periphytic algae? Periphytic algae are those green algae that are found to be growing along with the cyanobacteria, that is the blue-green algae. And this periphytic algae, they are the primary source of food for the primary consumers, that is the aquatic invertebrates or the larval stages of the larval stages as well as adult stages, the tadpole stage of frog, and the fry of fishes. They are even forage or the prey fishes also feed on this periphytic algae. So they are the primary food source for the aquatic ecosystem. So they are of ecological importance also, this all the periphytic algae. They are found to be growing as a dense mat on the substratum, but sometimes this dense mat, they gets detached and they float in the water column. And these Eulothrix, they are found to be growing in high nutrient condition also, that is the wastewater also, and they are also tolerant to acidic water. Now, there are not only this Eulothrix, but also there are many algae that can grow in acidic water. They are Oedogonium, Zygnema, Spirogyra. This Spirogyra, it is a cyanobacteria, and this Oedogonium, Zygnema, they are green algae. So the total number of species in Eulothrix that is so far found is 30. The thallus structure of Eulothrix. Now Eulothrix is a green filamentous algae which is unbranched, and the size is from 12 micron to even 12 centimeter. It all depends upon species. Some species are smaller, and few species are found to be growing even very large, that is 12 centimeter. Now, the thallus is unbranched, filamentous, that is the cells are joined end to end. And there is a anterior posterior differentiation. Here we see the apical cell, it is dome shaped, and all other cells, they have a cylindrical shape, and the cylindrical intermediate cells, that is, and the lowermost cell, that is the basal cell, it is also called hapteron holdfast because of the finger like projection that helps the entire thallus to be attached to the substratum. Now the intermediate cells, they are of three shades. I mean, in some species like that of the Eulothrix zonata, they are much wider than their length, and sometimes they are much longer than their width or breadth, that is in Eulothrix subconstricta, or they can be moniliform or duliform, that is they can be bead like, that is in Eulothrix moniliformis. Now in Eulothrix, the growth, it is not only limited to the apical cell but also the intermediate cells. So this is about the thallus structure. When we see the cell level, we see that the cell wall, it is, I'll be discussing it in the next slide actually. So we see that the cell wall, the cell wall, it has a inner layer and outer layer. The inner layer is made up of cellulose and the outer layer of pectin, protopectin actually. The cell layer, the cell wall can be of different, they can be thick or laminated, or they can be thin or homogeneous. But nevertheless, whether it is thick or thin, it has two layers, that is the inner cellulosic and outer is protopectin. As it is made up of this protopectin, there will be no mucilage because pectin is soluble in water, and the pectin dissolves in water to form the thick mucilage, but as it is not pectin but protopectin, there will be no mucilage. So this is all about the cell wall. Next layer is the plasma membrane. The plasma membrane or the cell membrane lies next to the cell wall, which includes, inside it is the cytoplasm. It is present just as a very thin layer. Here we see a very thin layer of cytoplasm. This is called the primordial article. This is called the primordial article. A very thin layer of cytoplasm just opposed to the cell membrane. It is called the primordial article. Now we see that the chloroplast. Chloroplast is girdle shaped, which means that it is girdle shaped, and it is of course parietal in position, because this girdling can be it can be a complete girdle or just a partial girdle depending upon the species, but the chloroplast is lobed, and chloroplast contains pyrenoid attached to it. Here we see that the pyrenoids, here pyrenoids, which has a starch sheath. This is the starch sheath, and they have a centrally located nucleus. Now nucleus, as it is eukaryotic, so it will have a proper nuclear membrane bound nucleus, and the membrane will be nuclear membrane will be a double membrane with the nuclear pores, proper nucleus. And next is the vacuole. We see that the vacuole is also centrally located, and vacuole is not a contractile type of vacuole. Vacuole is filled with cell sac. And there are also other organelles like the ear, the dictyosome, mitochondria. But the main point is that it is the cell has a parietally positioned chloroplast, that is girdle shaped. Girdle shaped chloroplast is characteristic of Eulothrix, and pyrenoid can be one to many depending upon the species. That is in Eulothrix rorida, it is one, and in Eulothrix zonata, it has many pyrenoids. The ecological economic importance. Now, eulothrix are the major oxygen producers. I mean, they photosynthesize and by photosynthesis they relate the water. So this natural self cleaning property of water is due to all green algae, and Ulothrix is one of them. And also being a periphytonic species, all the this Ulothrix is a good source of food for both invertebrates as well as fishes or the tadpole stage of frog. So they are the primary producers in the in the aquatic ecosystem. So this is of good economic importance both as a food source as well as the oxygen production. While in research, Ulothrix is not of much applied research, because it has been many experiments were done to find out whether the aqueous extract of Ulothrix the aqueous extract of Ulothrix has any clastogenic or aneurogenic property, or whether it has any other property. But it was found that Ulothrix did not have any clastogenic, or that is clastogens are actually mutagens that disturbs either the DNA directly or the processes that is happening during the cell reaction. And anerogens, they are substances that they produce aneuploidy. Aneuploidy means unequal number of chromosomes. Say for example, a particular organism has 10 pair of chromosomes, but due to aneuploidy there can be either increase or reduction of a single chromosome. So this abnormal number of chromosome is caused by anerogens. So it was tested that, and it was found that this aqueous extract of Ulothrix did not have any clastogenic or aneurogenic effect. So while considering the research also, it did not have much of research importance, but only the ecological importance. And that's all. Now this is the quiz. Which of the following algae creates nuisance in aquarium? There are four options. Bryopsis. Now Bryopsis, it is also called the hair algae, commonly known as the hair algae. This is a green algae that is found to be growing in the aquarium. This is a wild algae, that is they are not planted in the aquarium, but excess of this bryopsis, they reduce the they increase the turbidity and reduce the aesthetic quality of the aquarium. So bryopsis is this. Then Acetobularia. Acetobularia is a green algae commonly known by the name of mermaid's wine glass. This Acetobularia, this is a very fine looking algae, and sometimes it is put for the increasing the aesthetic appeal. And rhodocorton is a it is a red algae belonging to the Rhodophyceae, and Rhodocorton and Audoniella, these are both belonging to Rhodophyceae, and commonly they have this name of black beard algae. So option A, that is Bryopsis and Rhodocorton, Audiniella, the option A, C and D, these are the algae that are actually the increase in these A, C and D and options. These algae will actually decrease the aesthetic appeal of any aquarium. So the option will be, the answer will be option A, C and D. While option B, Acetabularia, it is not the answer, but you should know that Acetabularia is sometimes put in the aquarium setting just for increasing the aesthetic appeal. With this, I come to the end of the first part of the video. And in the second part of the video, I will be discussing about the reproductive strategies, which is of much importance, because this Eulothrix, they have a very quite different type of asexual reproduction. That is, earlier we have studied Chlamydomonas and Volvox, and they have just zoospores. But here, the Eulothrix has three type of zoospores: quadriflagellate macrozoospores, quadriflagellate microzoospore, biflagellate microzoospore. So, the reproductive strategy of Eulothrix is of much importance, and it's more interesting than the just overview and the structure. So do watch the second part of the video, because that will be very interesting one. Thanks for being with me during the entire part of the video. If you like the video, share it with your friends. Do subscribe to get the latest update of the videos I will be making. Thank you once again for watching this video.